the federal government is about to run out of spending authority, meaning every federal activity Donald Trump deems not essential is shut down. If this happens, this would instantly lay off hundreds of thousands of federal bureaucrats, no DOGE required. In fact, the White House has already ordered federal agencies to, quote, prepare mass layoff plans, but also automatically defund an army of millions of left-wing NGOs. It would instantly balance the federal budget. Who knew it was that easy?
Now, you asked about negotiations. One of the things I admired about the president, but frankly the entire team's approach during the conversation we just had with Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries was, they have some crazy ideas. Giving taxpayer money to illegal aliens for health care, that's a crazy idea. Funding transgender surgeries in Peru, that's a crazy idea. But they had some ideas that I actually thought were reasonable, and they had some ideas that the president thought was reasonable. What's not reasonable is to hold those ideas as leverage and to shut down the government unless we give you everything that you want. There were multiple times where Leader Jeffries or Leader Schumer would say, you know what, we should be doing this, and the President of the United States would say, yeah, absolutely, let's have that conversation, but we're going to do it in the context of the people's government being open. We're not going to let you take the people's government hostage and then give you everything that you want. And that's really the state of the negotiation. Yeah, let's have a conversation, let's have a negotiation, but we're not going to shut down the government because we won't give the Democrats everything that they want.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are just days away, really hours, from a complete and total government shutdown. Unprecedented, but seems to be par for the course considering everything that they tried to throw at President Trump. And unfortunately, sorry, not sorry, some people are going to lose their jobs and get fired over this. But
so federal spending is voted 1 year at a time, and it runs out at midnight tomorrow. Republicans in Congress proposed extending spending, so-called clean continuing resolution. The Democrats demanded over $1 trillion in new money for health care for illegals, health care for able-bodied Medicaid recipients, along with refunding foreign aid, NPR, and PBS. In other words, demands they knew Republicans cannot accept.
But there's still time, there's still hope, and the Democrats are pulling out the big guns, folks. Watch.
Now, last time we hit a shutdown in March, Democrats surrendered to protect their federal workers from DOGE. This time, it looks like the activists are forcing them to fight. Of course, Republicans should want a shutdown to slash the federal oligarchy, but they historically wimp out because legacy media always blames Republicans when government workers make shutdowns as painful as possible. Indeed, a passel of recent polls showed voters would disproportionately blame the GOP. One says 34% blame Republicans, 23% blame Dems, 34% blame both. Of course, media polls could be fake. The day before the 2024 election, polls had Trump at -9 approval. 24 hours later, he won the election.
Yeah, who'd have thought that polls would be fake and the media would lie to us?
Unfortunately, what I've learned is that legacy media propaganda is very effective at making people believe things that aren't true.
What would an example of that be?
That I'm a Nazi, for example. Right. And how many legacy media publications, talk shows, whatever, try to claim that I was a Nazi because of some random hand gesture at a rally where all I said was that my heart goes out to you, and I was talking about space travel. And yet the legacy media promoted that as though that was a deliberate Nazi gesture, when in fact every politician, any public speaker who's spoken for any length of time has made the exact same gesture, and yet there's still people out there, and I've never harmed a single person.
Oh yeah, kind of like how the media, or in fact, a certain mayoral candidate in New York City, would lie to voters and citizens and tell them that they're just going to give them everything for free. What's that old saying about socialism?
Literally, people who ask me questions about, is it possible to make buses fast and free? I say the cost would be about $600-700 million, which is less than Andrew Cuomo gave to Elon Musk 1 year in tax breaks of $959 million. Showing people the context that we're in and building a coalition where they may not see themselves in me, perhaps, but they may see themselves in the best and the brightest that I'll hire to surround me in City Hall.
The other side of that coin,
All right, y'all, let's hit pause for a second because this matters and it's really important. We talk a lot on this channel about taking control of your life making smart choices and not letting the system overwhelm you. But when it comes to navigating Medicare, it can feel like you're wading through a swamp of total confusion. Plans, coverage, costs, deadlines, you name it. And that's where Chapter steps in. They're not just another company. They're the real deal when it comes to free Medicare help. Chapter's team of experts has helped thousands of people across the country find the right Medicare plan, and they do it with one goal in mind: putting you first. No fees, no pressure, just honest guidance to make sure you're covered without breaking the bank. Big insurance companies have their own agendas, but Chapter's got your back, fighting to get you the plan that works for you. So if you're approaching Medicare age or helping a loved one figure it out, don't go it alone. Call Chapter today at 270-467-2426 and start getting the clarity you deserve. Because at the end of the day, protecting your health and your wallet, well, that's not just smart. It's living life on your terms.
More important, done right, a shutdown should be popular. So historically, our occupying bureaucracy intentionally made shutdowns painful. They cut school lunches, threatened Social Security, closed national parks. In fact, they spend extra money to fence off national parks. There's actually a name for this, the Washington Monument Strategy, also known as Firemen First or School Lunches First. Thing is, it does not have to be this way. Trump alone gets to decide which parts are essential and therefore stay open. So keep the parks, keep the school lunches, fire the rest. In practice, that would be at least a third of the federal government shut down, the parts voters don't like, then keep paying the essentials with incoming tax revenue. Now, this is not necessarily legal, but Democrats are not stupid enough to block Social Security checks and military pay for potentially months.
I don't know. I wouldn't put anything past these dumb motherfuckers.
We do not want to shut down the government because you can't get your
The
way.
last time you shut it down, you got killed.
Let me say something, Mr. President.
Let me say this. North Dakota
This
and
is the
India.
most unfortunate thing. We came in here in good faith, and we're entering into this kind of a discussion in the public view.
But it's not bad, Nancy. It's called transparency.
I know, it's not transparency when we're not stipulating to a set of facts.
To hold these people hostage instead of just letting them do their jobs, which they want to do while we work out our differences, so wrong.
This is democracy. And in a democracy, hostage tactics are the last resort for those who can't win their fights through elections, can't win their fights in Congress, can't win their fights for the presidency, and can't win their fights in the courts.
A government shutdown of any duration would harm hardworking Americans and our economy.
Why should we ask TSA officers to go without their hard-earned pay while they protect our airports?
I'm a senator from Virginia. Some of the hardest effects of shutdown will be seen in my state.
If the government shuts down, it will be average Americans who suffer most.
Some who right now are trying to figure out how they're going to pay rent, how they're going to make mortgage payments, how they're going to keep college payments going, how they're going to keep the lights on, how they're going to keep food on the table.
Had the government shut down, hundreds of thousands of people would have not gotten their paychecks. Federal employees would have been furloughed, sent home.
Our military won't get paid. Head Start teachers won't get paid. Our wildfire fighters won't get paid. Federal prison guards won't get paid.
A government shutdown means seniors who rely on Social Security could be thrown into chaos. Our veterans could see regional VA offices shut down and support services put on hold.
Shutdowns are not good for the economy.
Shutdowns cost taxpayers billions of dollars per week.
Shutdowns cost the economy billions of dollars.
They cost businesses money. They could even cost a downgrade to the nation's credit rating.
Families who benefit from WIC and other nutrition programs could see benefits halted.
If this shutdown continues indefinitely, 39 million Americans will risk not having enough food. They will lose their SNAP benefits in February. So that means American children will be going to bed hungry. It's unacceptable.
The longer that this shutdown goes on, the more Americans that will be affected.
Critical services and our economy are being threatened with poison pill partisanship. Shutting down the government should not be a negotiating tactic.
Hostage taking is all they have left. A last gasp of those who cannot cope with the realities of our democracy.
Well, hopefully the Democrats come to their senses here and will go to the floor of the respective chambers and pass a clean continuing resolution. The Republicans put that on the floor. No tricks, no funny business, nothing up our sleeves. Just, hey, let's keep the government open for another several weeks while we work this through in a normal process. Democrats voted against that. And so I'm hoping they come out of this meeting thinking that that's a better option than simply shutting down the government. It's just not realistic, the demands they're making. Now, Donald Trump may get in the room and wheel and deal. He is a deal maker. So like Speaker Johnson, I wouldn't want to predict what the president's willing to do on the fly. But I do think it's pretty reprehensible that the Democrats have taken us to the brink of a shutdown with a list of demands that, frankly, are just not even within the realm of the realistic right now. But again, is holding the government hostage for the next 48 hours and taking us to the brink of a shutdown instead of having a reasonable process over the next few weeks, legitimate tactic by the Democrats? I don't know about that.
We just had a very frank conversation with the Senate and House Democratic leadership. Look, the principle at stake here is very simple. We have disagreements about tax policy, but you don't shut that government down. We have disagreements about health care policy, but you don't shut the government down. You don't use your policy disagreements as leverage to not pay our troops, to not have essential services of government actually function. You don't say the fact that you disagree about a particular tax provision is an excuse for shutting down the people's government and all the essential services that come along with it. If you look at what Chuck Schumer has said in the past consistently, it's whatever our disagreements are, let's negotiate with them. Let's talk about them. Let's figure out a bipartisan solution, but you don't shut the government down. In other words, you don't put a gun to the American people's head and say, unless you do exactly what Senate and House Democrats want you to do, we're going to shut down your government. That's exactly what they're proposing out there. Now, we have to remember, they're very frustrated. They say that they're very frustrated about the fact that this negotiation has not taken place until today. But if you look at the original thing they did with this negotiation, it was a $1.5 trillion spending package, basically saying to the American people, we want to give massive amounts of money, hundreds of billions of dollars to illegal aliens for their health care, while Americans are struggling to pay their health care bills. That was their initial foray into this negotiation. We thought it was absurd. We told them it was absurd, and now they come in here saying that if you don't give us everything that we want, we're going to shut down the government. We think that's preposterous. We think it's totally unacceptable, and we think the American people are going to suffer because these guys won't do the right thing. Now, I want to make one final point here.
So if they had a pair, Republicans in Congress would shut it down for years. This is fun for a number of reasons. First, shutting down a third of the federal government saves $200 billion per month. That would instantly balance the budget. In fact, we'd be in surplus. Even better, a durable shutdown lays off 740,000 federal workers, about 4 times what they did with Doge. Note, federal grants also pay an estimated 3 million employees of overwhelmingly left-wing NGOs. Those would all be gone. In other words, a real shutdown would wipe out the progressive revolution. They'd be down to brainwashed college students.
And speaking of brainwashed, I want you guys to listen to this. Bold, yet extremely ludicrous threat now being hurled towards House Speaker Mike Johnson. Odds are you can guess this person's political party affiliation or registration. And this is what the Democrats are resorting to, not to keep the government open, not to avoid a shutdown, not to continue with the CR, the clean CR we have, but to execute on their hostage negotiations, which would then funnel trillions of dollars to illegals.
Hey, here's a message for Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. Pay attention, bud. This is for Mike Johnson. If you're not Mike Johnson, you can keep scrolling or you can stay here and listen to what I have to say. Hey, Mike, you have until Wednesday to swear her in. Wednesday. Or I will release your Grindr profile and your IP address. I bring receipts, bitch. You're not going to sit there and actively work against LGBTQ rights and democracy. It is treason. Yeah, I'm calling you out for treason. You have until Wednesday to swear her in and let democracy take its course, or I will release your Grindr profile and your IP address. Connects both to you, Mike. The choice is yours. Do the right thing. Because I'm petty. And I'm not above this bullshit. Go fuck yourself.
You will hear a lot from Senate Democrats, from House Democrats about the fact that American healthcare policy is broken. Well, we know that American healthcare policy is broken. We've been trying to fix it for the 8 months that we've been in office, but every single thing that they accuse about being broken about American healthcare is policy the Democrats have supported for the past decade. So if they want to talk about how to fix American healthcare policy, let's do it. The Speaker would love to do it. The Senate Majority Leader would love to do it. Let's work on it together, but let's do it in the context of an open government that's providing essential services to the American people. That's all that we're proposing to do, and the fact that they refuse to do that shows how unreasonable their position is. I think we're headed to a shutdown because the Democrats won't do the right thing. I hope they change their mind, but we're going to see.